Alright, welcome everybody. This is going to be my preview of the Washington Redskins Kansas City Chiefs game coming up. Monday Night Football game, another primetime game. Our second primetime game of, second time we're having a primetime game back-to-back, Sunday night and now Monday. So far we've done really well as far as primetime goes, at least on Sunday night we have. Monday we've got an even larger task with the Kansas City Chiefs. This Kansas City Chiefs went through and looked at the last couple games that they had, wrote down a lot of notes, have some pretty good opinions about how what to look forward to as far as this game is concerned. A couple things that need to be brought up before I even get into the tail of the tape when it comes to these two teams. As far as the Washington Redskins are concerned, we had limited player usage during this week in a lot of individual drills for individuals who are currently hurt, who are nursing injuries that are questionable for Monday night's game as far as whether they will play or not. As it stands under limited, listed under limited as far as injuries go, tight end Jordan Reed. We got running back Rob Kelly because of his ribs. Linebacker Mason Foster because of his shoulder. Defensive end Matt Ioannidis with his shoulder. I'm hearing rumblings that we've got a couple other people on that defensive line that could be hurt. Jonathan Allen, I hear he may be nursing a shoulder situation as well. All these individuals kind of remain on a questionable status, is uncertain as far as Monday is concerned. One of the other interesting things as well is Redskins Jordan Reed and Rob Kelly were both in limited practice. Both were expressed confidence that they'll be back and playing in the Kansas City game. To be absolutely honest with you, I'm not necessarily so worried about Kelly. If his situation isn't 100%, I don't know, maybe I would consider not playing him, but this is going to be contingent on another situation as well. I'll get to that in a second. But Jordan Reed would be Jordan Reed would be probably one of the biggest assets in this football game coming back from injury that we could use immediately, especially against this offense, against this defense, which is very good. Having an extra set of hands out there to catch that football as a target for a quarterback is going to be huge. So Jordan Reed being back is big. Rob Kelly, not so much of a concern of mine, although it would probably help considering Samaje Perine went down with his hands and his ribs. I'm not sure exactly what it was that he ended up hurting, but I didn't necessarily see Perine on a questionable list or an injury list, so if anybody can update me on that, that would be great. The biggest thing right now is going to be quarterback Kirk Cousins. Quarterback Kirk Cousins went in on Thursday to be with his wife, who was expected. She was expected back on the 18th, and it's the 29th. So they're probably looking at inducing her. He's probably going to end up having his baby very soon here. As of now, as this video is being filmed on Friday evening, I don't think he has. I don't think they've had their baby yet, which means he may very well not be able to make this trip. Since Thursday, our backup quarterback Colt McCoy has been taking first-team snaps as well. He should have been, considering he is a backup and Kirk hasn't been there. There is a very real possibility we'll be traveling to Kansas City on Monday night using Colt McCoy as our starting quarterback because Kirk Cousins might be out. It's a big if. And honestly, to tell you the truth, how effective would Kirk Cousins be after missing a couple days of practice because he was at the hospital with his wife celebrating their first child? A lot of questions, a lot of situations. So if Colt McCoy ends up going into this football game as our starting quarterback, then having a Rob Kelly back would be huge for us because we're going to need all the weapons that we can get as far as the ability to run the football against this team. Now, that's going to cover the Washington Redskins side of this football. I'm going to be looking at the Kansas City Chiefs now as far as the stuff that I have seen, the tape that I had reviewed. This is going to be a big game for us. Some things that we're definitely going to have to take a look at, watching a lot of film on both these teams. I watched a couple of games. I watched a little bit of the Patriots game. I don't like to watch a whole lot of the first week's games just because of their flukiness. And that was, mind you, that was a Thursday game. So I paid a lot of attention to the Philadelphia game, and then I also paid attention to the San Diego game. Now, the first thing I will say about this Kansas City team is that they're a very well coached team, and they should be. They are under Andy Reid. Andy Reid is a phenomenal coach, and he's got this machine operating on all four cylinders. Very well oiled. One of the biggest things that we have to take into consideration, one of the things that makes this Kansas City team so dangerous is their execution. Their execution is almost flawless. They're very good. There's not too many different directions that they go. It's the manner in which that they execute their plays. They use a lot of misdirection. They use a lot of they can run a lot out of several formations. So you're really going to have to be able to stick to assignments. You're going to have to key on certain players in order to be somewhat successful against this football team. They have also they have clever ways of disguising these formations. They use a lot of motion. They'll hide a lot of things in their motion. They'll even pitch reverses in their motion. So something that we have to pay attention to. I don't think that Kansas City has seen a pair of inside linebackers quite like what Washington has in their football team right now. The Philadelphia Eagles didn't necessarily show a lot of speed at that inside linebacker position, and definitely not the San Diego Chargers. So I think a lot of what it is they do, especially the push up the middle, comes from the lack of speed at getting to the point of attack from their inside linebacker spot. So us last year playing against this team would have been interesting. However, we're a lot faster at inside linebacker right now. So even with Mason Foster out of this football game, we did have some really, really good execution out of our defense coming out of that Sunday night game against Oakland. Mind you, we're not playing against Oakland, but Mac Brown or Zach Brown in this backfield is going to be huge for us. It's going to be difficult. I would expect Kansas City to target Zach Brown in this game. I would look to that. You're going to be looking at some people coming out to specifically to take him out. So again, yeah, like I said, they execute very, very well. The weapons on this offense you're going to have to pay attention to. Of course, Alex Smith is going to be their major weapon. Great passer, great vision. He will stay in the pocket until the very, very end. So he's got a couple targets that he will look at. If he doesn't find those targets, he'll wait for other things to develop, and a lot of times he'll take a sack because of it. So Alex Smith is one of their biggest weapons. Another one is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a great receiver. Given certain coverages and given where certain safeties are located, they will look to Hill. They will look to Tyreek Hill either up the middle or on the outside. The guy is quick. He's got great hands. Also executes very, very well. Kareem Hunt is the guy that everybody's paying attention to right now. Kareem Hunt impresses me because Kareem Hunt is fast. He has great hands. He is able to exploit zone coverages when it comes to throwing out of the backfield. I don't see Kansas City utilizing him a lot like Washington does with Thompson. So a lot of times I think they're just using him as an outlet or a dump-off pass whenever Alex Smith's main targets are not available downrange. So we can honestly, I think that's a plus for us because we don't want a loose and fast Kareem Hunt in the backfield doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Kareem Hunt has power and he has, well, I don't want to say he has power. It's hard for people to bring him down sometimes because he is a powerful runner. He's not a power runner, but he is fast. The guy's got secondary speed that is very, very misleading. So we're going to have to get to the point of attack and attack this ball at the line of scrimmage and be able to wrap him up and bring him down in order for us to be successful at him, and that's going to be very, very difficult to do. That's going to be very difficult to do on several occasions, and it's not so much the fact that it's Kareem Hunt that's awesome at what it is he does, is this offensive line and what it is that they do. This offensive line pulls a lot. They look a lot like the Washington Redskins back there. The one thing I'll tell you about the Washington Redskins, about the Kansas City Chiefs and their offensive line is that they're smaller, more versatile, very well technically as far as blocking goes downrange. They will get to that second level and they'll take out linebackers very, very well. The only weakness that I see in that offensive line at this point is their offensive center. I don't know if their center is back off injury yet. He'd hurt himself, and they ended up having to bring a backup in during that Philly game, and he was still in for the San Diego game. He is a big, big, big target. He's not necessarily fast. If he is able to pull, and for some reason they were pulling him a lot, if they pull him and we sniff it out, Zach Brown's going to get to the point of attack a lot quicker than any other inside linebackers that KC's faced this year. That's just a given. I can almost guarantee that. So them pulling those inside guards and that center is going to be a little bit more difficult for them, I think. So Zach Brown's going to be a huge, huge key for us. The biggest threat on this offense, it's not so much Kareem Hunt that worries me. It's Kelce. Kelce is the big target, and he was targeted a lot in this Philadelphia game. Not so much that I saw in the San Diego game, because the San Diego game they were able to run the football and use Kareem Hunt in that fashion. But they didn't necessarily want... You're not going to be able to run so much against Philly's defensive line. When you've got Fletcher Cox and you've got Timmy Jernigan that are sitting in the middle waiting for you to hand off the ball to Kareem Hunt, you're going to exploit that defense in different manners, and they used a lot. They used a lot of Travis Kelce. Kelce is a phenomenal target, one of the best tight ends that we'll have to go up against in this football game. Cooper was great for Oakland, but Travis Kelce is one of the best, and it's going to be very difficult for us to be able to contain this kid. They don't do a whole lot as far as mixing him up in different positions. I don't see a whole lot of times that they'll use him as a split receiver or a slot receiver. They'll line him up pretty much in the same spot every time, but they'll do different things with him. They'll even block with him. Travis Kelce is a very, very good blocking tight end. So it's going to be very difficult for secondary to be able to key on Travis Kelce. And Kelce's great at both man coverage, and he's great at zone coverage as well. So pick your poison. Alex Smith is really, really good at getting that ball to Travis Kelce in areas that he knows that Kelce's going to be. And his catch radius is really, really good. I have to say Travis Kelce is probably a little bit more dangerous than a Jordan Reed for the Washington Redskins. So Kelce's going to be a massive target. So those are the 4 targets that I'm looking at on offense. Alex Smith, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Kareem Hunt are individuals that we are going to have to contain. That offensive line, too, as well. That offensive line will pull out of just about every single formation. But every single formation I'm talking about, these guys will line up even into a 5-man set. They'll line up with 5 down linemen. They'll run with a spread offense and spread you out, and then they will pull. They'll take both the guard and the tackle and pull across center and give it to Kareem Hunt. So don't ever, if your linebackers, don't ever not expect that running play to come at you. And if it does come at you, you have to bite hard and bite fast, because if you don't, you're going to get a lineman in your face. And it takes one really, really good block from one of those pulling guards or center to bust Kareem loose. Kareem Hunt is way better than any running back that we've got in that backfield, and he's way more explosive, and he has taken it to both Philadelphia and the San Diego Chargers on offense. So something we have to be very, very disciplined about. Our ends, both Preston Smith and Ryan Kerrigan, have to have very, very good games against this offense. They have to be able to set the edge and have faith in the middle to be able to collapse that pocket. We can get to Alex Smith. He's been sacked in almost every game that I've watched, and he was probably going to be sacked against the Washington Redskins. He will take the sack. I don't think he's afraid of taking a sack. He'll let that pocket collapse, but you cannot have those ends bite on the inside to allow him to roll out. If you allow Alex Smith to roll out, I've seen him carve some offense or some defenses up. So keep him on the outside, or maintain your outside containment, and keep him on the inside and collapse that pocket and get him that way. I've seen a ton of plays where that's happened. You can get to him within 4 seconds, and I've seen it happen even on 4-man rushes. So the blitzing worries me a little bit only because of Kelce. Alex Smith does have the ability to sniff that out, so something to watch out for. There's really only one aspect of this defense that you have to be concerned about. First of all, this defense is good. This defense is very, very good. They're stout up the middle. Their linebackers are very, very good. Their secondary is some of the best in the league. The main thing you're going to have to watch out for is number 50. Number 50 is the guy that your eye is drawn to him. But Justin Houston is the heart and soul of this pass rush on this defense. And if you guys thought that we did a really, really good job against Khalil Mack and the Oakland Raiders, you're going to have to have another big ask out of your offensive line when it comes to Justin Houston, because Justin Houston is, in my opinion, every bit as good as Khalil Mack. He's got the speed, he's got the size, he's got the strength, and he has a nose for the football. All of those are dangerous combinations when it comes to an offensive lineman trying to contain a guy like Justin Houston. And to tell you the truth, I haven't really seen anybody do a fairly decent job, especially out of these last 2 games, at blocking Justin Houston. I think Houston has been able to run amok quite a bit in this football game, which leads me to think that Justin Houston might be in for a little bit of a surprise when he goes up against Washington, because Morgan Moses has been doing very, very well the last 2 weeks at that right tackle position. Again, I'm not worried about a Justin Houston matchup with Trent Williams, but Justin Houston doesn't really move around a whole lot on different sides of the football. He'll namely stick to the right-hand side, so he's going to be coming at Morgan Moses quite a bit. Actually, his right-hand side, that would more than likely be Trent Williams, but if he does end up lining up against the Morgan Moses, which what I would do if I was a defensive coordinator, Morgan's been playing fairly well. He's going to test you outside. He's going to test you inside. But when he goes inside, it's not so much the tackle that he worries himself with. It's that center-guard combination. They will try different gaps. They will bring inside linebackers up to look for blitz, and a lot of times they will often bring their secondary back to where they won't blitz. They'll show blitz, but they won't quite do it. Kansas City has a lot of faith in their four-man pass rush. A lot of faith. So if they've got faith in their four-man pass rush, then obviously they're looking at 6 or 7 people that are going to be deep in zone or man coverage. They have faith in their secondary just as much as they have faith in their 4 or 5-man pass rush. Their rush can get to the quarterback, but a big key is to that defense getting the quarterback rests solely pretty much on Justin Houston. Now, right in the middle, you have Benny Logan. Benny Logan, you have another individual. I can't necessarily remember his name right off the bat. Bailey, number 97. Number 90 and 97, Benny Logan and Bailey, those two individuals are very stout, very big up the middle, and very good at eating up run blocks, and they're able to stuff the run with those two individuals. Benny Logan is an individual that the Washington Redskins know very well, because we're used to blocking Benny Logan and Fletcher Cox. So now, with Benny Logan being on the defense for the Kansas City Chiefs, take a look at Justin Houston, because Justin Houston's going to be the featured pass rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Houston will line up on that outside D gap a lot, and he will use his speed to the outside, or he will cut it back to the inside. So that is where our tackles are going to have to be quick, and they're going to have to be disciplined as well. Justin Houston, one of the things you're going to have to also take a look at and pay very close attention to is when number 50 and number 96 line up next to each other. If you see Justin Houston and Benny Logan line up next to each other, you can guarantee this is either going to be a pass rush up the middle or it's going to be a stunt to the outside. Our guard and our tackle need to be very disciplined on who it is that they block. And to tell you the truth, we're very good at both guard and tackle positions. I've seen mishaps on both teams from Philadelphia and San Diego, where they just didn't know their ass from the hole in the ground. They would end up stunting to the outside, and the tackle who's come inside to help out with the other tackle totally missed Justin Houston going around the outside, and he ends up giving up a sack. We are not necessarily known for doing that. If there's any lineman that I'm worried about as far as gap control is concerned on stunts, it would be a Sean Loval, to tell you the truth. He's the only one that would really worry me. Other than that, maybe once a game you'll see Brandon Sheriff with a mix-up like that, but he doesn't mess up all that much either. So I wouldn't necessarily be worried about that too much, but if you see number 90, if you see number 50 and number 96 lining up next to each other, you're looking at either a straight pass rush up the middle, which they're looking to exploit a weakness there, or they're looking at stunting Benny Logan, or they're looking at stunting Justin Houston to the outside and testing those tackles. Now, to tell you the truth, even though they're stout up the middle, I do think we'd have some success at running on this football team. If we're going to have some success at the short chunk yardage throws, then I would almost expect this running game to be there. Even though we are weak at the running back position right now as far as injuries are concerned, this is going to be a huge opportunity for some of our running backs to really be able to exploit this Kansas City defense. I think that the opportunity is there. I think that if you're going to have a shot at beating the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to be able to run the football. You have to keep that offense off the field, and you have to maintain one of their biggest advantages, and that's in that crowd noise. That crowd is insane. You're looking at a Seattle Seahawk type crowd that's going to be fired up and charged up for primetime football. The Washington Redskins are not going to be able to travel very well when it comes to Kansas City. You're going to see a sea of red, and it's going to be the wrong color red. So that's going to be a huge disadvantage for the Washington Redskins. But I do think that part of being able to contain this team is going to be running the football. So there's going to be some opportunity there. Now, their secondary. Their secondary is very good. Marcus Peters, number 22, is their Pro Bowler. He is the guy that most quarterbacks fear and will throw away from. Terrence Mitchell, number 39, is a guy that most quarterbacks will try to exploit. Now, here's the thing. You're going to be hearing more than likely, and I haven't heard this per se, but you're going to be hearing a lot of people probably deterring away from Terrence Mitchell because of his interceptions last week. Terrence Mitchell had 2 interceptions from what I saw against the San Diego team. And to tell you the truth, he probably should have. Terrence Mitchell, I noticed, was an individual that Philip Rivers tried to exploit deep on several occasions. They felt that that was a mismatch that they were going to go after, and even after throwing an interception, they went after him again. And again, Terrence Mitchell came up with the interception. However, I don't think Philip Rivers threw very good footballs at all when it came to these interceptions. I think Kirk Cousins is a better passer in both of those regards where those interceptions were concerned. The only way that I would throw against a Marcus Peters is if I had a Josh Doctson or if I had a Terrell Pryor that was willing to jump up for this football. Marcus Peters is very, very gifted, very talented, very versatile, but he doesn't quite have the height. And I've seen Alshon Jeffrey exploit that height on several occasions with Carson Wentz. 2 occasions that I can remember, and I can't remember exactly which one of those corners that they were going after, but Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles felt that that mismatch was there, and it was. So you know that if it's there for Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey, then you know it's going to be there for, hopefully, Kirk Cousins and a Terrell Pryor and even a Josh Doctson. I would like to see Josh Doctson get used a lot more in our offense. Now, one of the other things that's going to be a major concern is going to be the defensive line getting their hands up. The defensive line is very, very good at getting their hands up and blocking passing lanes. They're probably some of the best in the league, and on several occasions this defense has been able to block a pass up into the air to give it to their defense to turn the ball over. We cannot afford to turn the ball over against this football team. Kansas City will convert those turnovers to points. They're that good. Their execution and the crowd support are such to a point where momentum will invigorate that offense, and when that offense is invigorated, that's when you start coming back to those 4 massive weapons that I told you about. And those 4 massive weapons, of course, that I'm talking about is going to be Alex Smith, Kelce, Hill, and Hunt, especially when it comes to Kelce and Hunt. Those 2 individuals are going to gash offenses if that offense has momentum. So the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs is going to have an opportunity to stick their hands up in the air, or they're going to be looking for opportunity when they're sticking their hands up in the air trying to defect these passes, trying to get their hands up in those passing lanes to see if they can't turn that football over. They did it to Carson Wentz. They were fairly effective against Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers played a really, really poor game, and they don't have much of a running game either. Their running game was starting to get off and doing really, really well, but then they would come back and throw a really crappy throw and turn it over. If we are able to establish the run and open up those passing lanes for our offense, I think our offense is much better at passing the football than San Diego's. I think we're right up there with Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was able to exploit that on several occasions. That Philadelphia game looked to be a lot closer than the San Diego game, so definitely things to look at. This is going to be an opportunity for, obviously, your boy Mac Brown if he's going to be playing in this football game. So running backs are going to have the ability to run the football. If Kelly ends up coming back, he's going to have some opportunities. Brown's going to definitely have some opportunities. Chris Thompson is going to be another target. I just have a really sneaky suspicion that defense is going to be looking to try to take Chris Thompson as a target away from us. So I've seen running backs catch this football out of the backfield, but not necessarily quite the way the Washington Redskins like to utilize Chris Thompson. But I can tell you after 2 games against the Los Angeles Rams and now the Oakland Raiders, Kansas City is going to be keying on Chris Thompson. So definitely some things to look at. I can tell you right now, Chris Thompson is going to be there in the backfield of Vernon Davis, and of course if Jordan Reed, but if he ends up coming back, if we end up opening up this offense with those 2 individuals on the outside on a double tight end set or even a single tight end set, we open up and spread out this defense, then Chris Thompson's going to be there open in the backfield. Some things to look forward to that are going to be exciting, but those weapons that they have on offense, that crowd noise, is going to be very, very difficult. If Kirk Cousins is able to be there, it's going to be a huge ask from him because he's missed a couple days of practice because of this baby thing, and if he's not there at all, Colt McCoy is going to have a hell of an opportunity laid at his feet to be able to prove himself to being a good, adequate backup, but it's not looking good against this team if he ends up having to go back there. One of the few things, I'll close with this, one of the few things that you can look forward to as a fan for this Washington team going into this game is Kansas City is one of the more penalized football teams in the league. And we have to be able to exploit those penalties. You have to exploit every single penalty that they give us, which means it's going to be, I think it's going to be easy to get into the head of this defense. If you're on offense, I'd be getting chippy. I'd be saying some stuff, maybe get a little pushy, maybe get a little bit insulted. These guys will go for it. They'll get penalized. Some personal fouls in there, some late hits. These guys will do it, and the refs will come down on it. So the turnover battle is something that we can't lose, and the penalty margins are something that we have to take advantage of, and we cannot afford to turn over this football. That's going to do it for me, guys. Take a look at some of those aspects that I talked about as far as this football game is concerned. They do like to run on offense. They like to run a lot of that trips bunch formation. Zone stretch scheme that they like to run. They'll run maybe 2 or possibly 3 zone read options between whether Smith is going to run that keeper or whether he's going to hand off the football, depending upon what the end is doing. He had 1 or 2 really big plays against San Diego doing that, so definitely something to look for as far as that outside contain. Again, outside contain's got to be very, very important. A lot of misdirection, a lot of pulling linemen. Watch out for man in motion. Man in motion, a lot of times they'll pitch to run a reverse in his direction. A lot of times they'll fake that pitch and then throw to single coverage to that split receiver that's up above. So everybody on this defense, the only thing you can do to combat misdirection and execution is to stick to the game plan, stick to your man, set your outside contain on that edge, and linebackers are going to have to play very, very good, especially those inside linebackers, and play with a lot of speed. So that's going to do it for me, guys. That's Burgundy Fly Guy. Hopefully we can come out with a win in this hostile environment in Kansas City. Don't necessarily look forward to it. I don't necessarily see us squeaking it out of victory, not with the week that we've had. It's going to be a short week for us, and we're going to be traveling, which is not an advantage. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully we can squeeze one out. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys next time after this game is over with my full Kansas City game review. See you next time.